Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now March 31st of 2022, and as we get closer to the official release of the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series, which by the way, in case you guys did not know, has recently been moved to May 27th. However, on May 27th, 2 episodes of the Kenobi TV series will be appearing back to back. So that's good news at least. You know, there is a silver lining to that, and it really wasn't even all that much of a delay to begin with. Now, of course, on top of all of this, we have a lot of things also happening with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, we are getting very close to Star Wars Celebration this May. That's going to be the event, and I mean the event, that's going to unveil a host of new live-action and animated Star Wars TV shows for, of course, Disney+. And that means a lot because we have Bob Chapek getting involved, we have John, George, and Dave that are going to join the stage. This really is going to be by far the best celebration under Disney's wing in history. So, moving on beyond all of this, we also know that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have been very busy with the overall Mandoverse and other eras of the Star Wars universe that will be applied to the Star Wars, universe as a whole. That's really going to use books, novels, comics, video games, movies, and TV shows as one to really make it all the more expansive. And Jon Favreau said this before in the past, is that his mission for the new universe is to make it even all the more expansive than all of the books in Star Wars Legends from the 1990s and the early 2000s. That's how long they really want to make Star Wars out to be. They really want to make this an ongoing thing, just like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So on top of all of this, what's even all the more intriguing is exactly what Jon Favreau recently had to say that involves not just the Star Wars fandom, but also Star Wars projects out there that already exist. So, with Disney and Lucasfilm now working on new Star Wars shows and movies that will be announced at Celebration and next year's Celebration, creators Jon and Dave Filoni are already beginning to work on the 4th season of The Mandalorian. Now, it's noted that in a recent interview with creator Jon Favreau, he was eventually questioned about his take on Star Wars and view of the Star Wars fandom. Jon Favreau went on to state, "Before I was involved with the franchise, this was right around when The Last Jedi debuted, I couldn't help but think to myself of how sad it was to see the entire fandom up in arms over what they decided to do with the middle film of the sequels. I mean, it was jaw-dropping to see the amount of backlash coming from the fans, and still to this day, I feel awful for the fans. I really do feel awful for what they had to go through by waiting for certain expectations for years only to be let down by Disney and Lucasfilm." So, let me just stop right there for 1 second before we get on to what else Favreau had to say, is that this is obviously exactly why Favreau decided to join the Star Wars universe, and we already know this. He wanted to join the first live-action Star Wars TV series to really turn Star Wars around, to bring it in a brand new direction that would be both positive and beneficial to the Star Wars fandom and to Disney as a company. He really wanted to create that balance where it's beneficial to both sides. Both on the business end and on the creative end. And he really wanted to remedy that, and he did. He really did an amazing job with Season 1 and Season 2. Yes, the Book of Boba Fett was a bit of a speed bump, but a lot of that had to do, believe it or not, given the fact that Robert Rodriguez was an executive producer and the episodes that he worked on, he was able to pull a lot of strings on the creative process over Jon and Dave. Now, moving on from all of this, alright? Another thing that Jon Favreau points out here is that he goes on to say this: "It really is something spiritual to the person when I look at this franchise. It's not just a series of movies and or TV shows, but it is an actual spiritual way of life. It's almost like a way of life to people. And it really was emotional to see the sequels weren't, of course, really the best thought out projects for the franchise. When I joined the Mandalorian crew and began writing the show in 2019, I knew I had to dedicate my passion to those who just love and grew up with the franchise. I want to make sure that I can keep that spiritual side of Star Wars intact for the community in order to provide the fans that magical feeling for Star Wars that myself and Dave are working on every single day. I felt awful for the fans though, then, and I feel happy for the fans now, based on what we are doing with these great new tales that we are creating. Separate from all of this and what Favreau had to say, one major thing that Favreau and Filoni are getting ready to work on for the Ahsoka Tano series is in fact a big scene that is set to begin filming by this June that will feature both Rosario Dawson and Hayden as Anakin Skywalker. This is described to be a big reunion scene between both Ahsoka and Anakin Skywalker within the netherworld of the Force. So here's another thing that I think a lot of fans absolutely need to know, is that the Ahsoka Tano series is going to borrow a lot of elements from the Rise of Skywalker scenes that went deleted, and of course many different aspects and concepts by Jon Favreau that never even made it to the filming stage. So they're using both deleted scenes by J.J. Abrams and unused material by Jon Favreau, the original Episode 9 writer for Duel of the Fates. Now that's a really interesting thing, is that they are going to be including the netherworld of the Force, the world between worlds, Mortis, and a lot of different realms in the Ahsoka Tano series. And the Ahsoka series is also going to be a show about making specific changes throughout space and time, and how it's going to have a big impact on all trilogy movies. So that is another thing to be aware of right here. Now, of course, fans for the very first time are going to get a first look at what the netherworld, or afterlife, essentially, looks like in the Star Wars universe, specifically for Jedi and where the Force ghosts go after they vanish from the mortal world. So whenever you watch these movies, right? Whenever you see these movies that include a Force ghost or anything around those lines and they vanish, a lot of people may not have always wondered, where in the world did they go? Where are they? That's exactly what will be illustrated in the Ahsoka Tano series, and it is going to feature the netherworld of the Force, so that's a good thing. As the show, of course, will deal with new realms, such as Mortis and the world between worlds in live-action form for the very first time for fans to enjoy, Lucas is also involved in how these scenes will be created step by step, given that George is the one that actually used this as a concept with Dave Filoni in, of course, Star Wars Rebels. Now, the thing about that, alright, is that the world between worlds in live-action form in the Ahsoka series is going to be treated far differently than how it was treated in Star Wars Rebels. And what I mean by that is that they are going to evolve this realm. They're going to be doing different things with this location in the Star Wars world, and exactly what kind of limitations it will have in the Ahsoka series, so keep that in mind as well. The thing about this, though, that I think a lot of fans are a little worried about is, will Lucasfilm go overboard with the changes that the world between worlds could very well provide for the sequels and the originals and even the prequel trilogy movies? You know, it's all a matter of how it's going to be used and how aggressive these changes are really going to be. And we've gone over that before, that the changes for the sequels will be more aggressive than the changes for the originals and the prequels. So that's good news in a sense. So overall, guys, you know, I think that it really is interesting to see that we have, of course, Jon Favreau being very empathetic over the fans about what the fans went through with The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker, and all these promises made by Kathleen Kennedy back in 2013, and she completely failed the fandom. So overall, guys, you know, let me know what you think about what Jon Favreau had to say here, what Jon and Dave are planning for the Ahsoka show. Are you excited? I sure am. And yeah, guys, you know, let me know what you think about all that below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.